Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Welcome to today's Crypto Blast. It is Wednesday, the 16th of April, and myself and Cam from Institutional Fi, mainly Cam, will be giving you the ultimate rapid fire update on all the latest pricing flows and market moving news in crypto markets. But before he does, I will get the legals out of the way. So, as usual, nothing discussed on this Spaces session constitute trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ or indeed Institutional Fi or indeed myself and Cam. So, without further ado, let me add Cam to the conversation. So that's the invite sent over to him. And okay, and him as well over there. So Cam's logging in twice. Perfect. Hello.
How are
Good
we?
afternoon. I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm in admin hell at the moment, trying to sort out like all like the 300 feeds on PIQ. I'm trying to get them a bit of order and categorize them up, which is turning out to be a very laborious process. But enough about me. What's been going on in crypto?
Hold on a minute. 300 feeds. That sounds interesting. Tell me
Yeah,
more.
exactly. Yeah, but everyone should check out PIQ's platform, and we've got another 500 being onboarded soon. Good plug, mate. Good
Ooh.
plug. Not your first
Thank you.
rodeo.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you to everybody tuning in today, whether you're listening live or on the recording. We appreciate you for joining in and taking the time out to catch up with the crypto markets, especially if you're waking up in the US. Hopefully, it's going to be a good day today. We might have some positive news for you on the horizon. We may not. I
Oh,
don't know. You have to listen to the end of this.
tease, tease.
I know, teasing. There you go. So, right, let's start off with the crypto market update. Bitcoin rallied to around $86,600 yesterday, ahead of the US stock market open. However, this move was short-lived, with a 4% retracement carrying out through the US and Asian trading sessions. Bitcoin has since managed to catch a little bit of a bid, with news coming out of China reiterating that they are willing to come to an agreement regarding tariffs regarding the United States, as long as President Trump shows respect. It is important to highlight that this new sentiment isn't anything new. It's just the same thing that they mentioned last week.
Yeah.
Although, because it's for some reason, we're seeing that the markets have absolutely no idea what to do at the moment. Last week this was negative news. This week it's starting to have a positive reaction.
Yeah, no, I think you've hit it right there. I think also thing is everyone's so desperate to get every headline out possible. It's just an absolute mess out there. And again, like you said so many times as well, that you read past the headline and it's a different story. So yeah, so I think a word of caution is worth noting. There's a good intro on that. Well, a good point raised in terms of there's a lot of noise out there. Be really careful what you're following, especially if you are trying to headline trade. I'll go as far as say obviously nothing on the show is investment advice, but if you think that you can trade headlines based on Twitter and a CFD account or a spread bet account, you are going to be other people's exit liquidity. I speak from experience from being on trading floors back in the day. Yeah, you're not as quick as the guys getting off the Reuters terminals or the Bloomberg terminals. And yeah, it's just a way to, you may get on a few big winners, but yeah, overall, you're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, and just on that as well, if you're trading, listening to live market spaces,
I know where this is going.
and you honestly, because I do speak on a few of them, and they're good. They're great for entertainment. They're great for educational pieces sometimes. Um, but understand there is a massive delay. And so
Yeah.
I know it's only supposed to be around like 10, 15 seconds, but sometimes it's longer than that. I know from being able to listening in to joining in, sometimes there's a massive delay, and you're then filtering that delay through multiple sources. If a speaker suddenly goes, "Oh, I've got a headline here, I'm placing a trade," they've already placed that trade,
Yeah.
and they're telling you what they've done off
Yeah.
of a
Yeah. Exactly.
headline which had come out previously to them, who, let's be honest, most of these retail traders don't have access to Bloomberg terminals.
Nope. But
So
they
they're
can have
working
access to
off,
PIQ's terminal.
they can have access to PIQs, which gives them the best trading advantage.
Yes, son. Yes.
Exactly. So if your guru isn't using the PIQ website, it's
They're a
bun them
mug.
off. Yeah, they're a mug. They're fighting a losing headline.
Battle.
Yeah. So
Battle.
just
Love it.
understand there's so much risk involved in doing that, especially with the market environment as we're in at the moment, where good
Absolutely.
news is not always good news. It's sometimes negative news, but sometimes it might be positive news if it's said differently or come from a different account.
No,
You know.
absolutely that. Absolutely that. Yeah, literally, we are trading on semantics at this point. So absolutely, you are spot on
And
as
then we
usual.
talk about risk, and then we talk about risk and getting involved in risk assets, and crypto is
Yeah,
is 100% that. So
yeah.
as we look down further through the market cap list, let's look across to Ethereum. Ethereum fell almost 7% from the highs to the lows yesterday, very much in line with the broader alternative market. Following the lead of BTC, Ether is now up 2.4% from the lows of this morning, following the positive macro response to the news headlines that we were just talking about. Going down the market cap list in no particular order, Solana is trading at $126, down from yesterday. XRP is trading at $2.08, again down. However, flat on the day is BNB trading at $581. PaxG, which if you don't know, PaxG is a backed crypto by gold, is currently trading around
Is it though? Is it?
$330. Well,
Has
question
anyone
mark, question mark,
audited this?
question mark. Yeah. I quite like PaxG. It's very liquid, so it's easy to get in and out of. Again,
Which
do your
sometimes
own
is half the battle,
research,
right?
which is sometimes half the battle. Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETF flows for yesterday. That would be the 15th of April, 2025. Bitcoin saw positive net inflows around the range of $76.4 million yesterday. Ethereum continuing its net outflows with over $14.2 million leaving. It's definitely less than the previous day. Will this convert to positive flows in the coming days? Who knows? Your bet is as good as mine. Following on to news then, Bitwise launched 4 of its German Bitcoin and crypto exchange traded products on the London Stock
London.
Exchange today. Oh dear, tongue twisted there.
Yeah,
So here you go, some London news for us.
brilliant.
Moving over to China. Chinese local governments have been selling seized cryptocurrencies via private companies despite an ongoing crypto trading ban in mainland China. This is according to Reuters. It goes on to say, amid a slowing economy, local governments have been selling crypto assets confiscated from illicit activities for cash to replenish public coffers. A practice that legal experts say could lead to opaque processes and foster corruption. Reuters reported on Wednesday, citing transactions and court documents. China continues to ban cryptocurrencies trading and mining activities on the mainland, while Hong Kong has repeatedly expressed its ambition to become a crypto hub with a trading licensing regime. The Chinese authorities, however, have enlisted local companies to help dispose of seized crypto assets. While it is illegal for individuals to trade crypto, operating a business that assists the government in selling crypto remains legitimate, which has attracted a growing number of participants over the coming years. And
Good.
moving on from that
Nice.
story. Oklahoma's Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act fails in Senate committee after a tight 6-5 vote against.
Boo.
Being boo, yeah. I'm sure that will get revisited very, very
Yeah.
soon. BNB Chain just completed its 31st quarterly token burn, burning around $1.5 million. No, sorry, million BNB tokens worth. That's definitely the number skewed there for a second, because the number is actually $619 million worth
Oh,
of BNB tokens. So yeah, not 1.5 million, that's for sure. Athena teams up with Alchemy Pay to enable direct purchases of USDE, a stablecoin, and ENA, which is the Athena native token, via Visa and MasterCard. Selma Scientific proposes up to $500 million in securities to support corporate growth, including Bitcoin acquisitions, with the CEO taking to X last night to say that he is looking forward to purchasing more Bitcoin soon.
oh,
Here is a little mantra update. For those that don't know,
oh,
we've been
yeah.
covering this story quite closely this week, as on Sunday, there was a top 20 project. So there's an element of trust that comes into that with a token doing so well and not a small market cap by any means.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they had a decline of over 90% in market value, losing investors around 10 billion with a B dollars. in just a matter of hours. Mantra plans to burn all team tokens to regain the community's trust after the sudden collapse of OM. Right. This is where
Sorry,
things get a
I
bit
didn't mean to giggle,
interesting.
but yeah.
It is funny, let's be honest. And this is where things start to get a little bit interesting. So, following a recent interview with CoffeeZilla, he's an independent reporter that gained a large following during the early COVID period. He did an interview one of the reps from Mantra, and it came to light that Mantra have been selling OM tokens via OTC deals. Now, these deals consist of OM tokens sold at sharp discount with an unknown lockup vesting period. They didn't disclose how long these vesting periods were. One extra thing that came to light during this interview is that soon, by the end of this month, the lockup period comes to an end on some of the OTC deals that they had committed to. So further volatility should be expected. Although, I mean, I wouldn't like to be an investor in a project that just tanked 90% ahead of an
No,
unlock.
that's going to be a hard
Um,
sell, right?
Exactly, especially with so many unknowns, because they
Yeah.
with these obviously you can't really track these OTC deals that much. You don't know what the contracts are like between the parties. Um, they also admitted to buying or to selling OTC at discounted rates and artificially inflating the price by having the cash and re-injecting it into the OM
Right.
token. Um, so it's that practice is really common in crypto. But again, you're then dealing with an artificially inflated market ahead of time where they're going to have an unlock period with
Yeah.
these guys being able to sell into it. Although, yeah, being an investor and having money locked up, quite large portions of money locked up into a token that just tanked 90% is not going to be a favorable position.
No, not much. Yeah, I mate, you're right.
Moving on from this story, this is kind of a bit of a warning. I'm not sure how many listeners will be affected by this, but we'll do it anyway. Bitcoin stored on hardware wallets like Blockstream Jade could be exposed to a chip bug. So if you're using a hardware wallet called Blockstream Jade, just please go to the official channels and have a check to see if you could be exposed to this exploit. If it is, then I'm sure they've put out efficient steps as to how you can
Yeah.
resolve this issue.
Mitigate the issues.
That's it, mitigate the issues. Sui announced its collaboration with Babylon, becoming a BTC secured network, which is an interesting development there for Sui. Ethereum Foundation backed Everclear full mainnet goes live today. And an update, Binance introduces reward-bearing margin asset, LDUSDT. This was the non-yield bearing stablecoin that we talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, where they reiterated it's not a stablecoin, it doesn't bear yield, but it's just a reward-bearing token. Crypto lending plunged to $36.5 billion in Q4 of 2024, a drop of over 40% since 2021 from Galaxy Research. Moving over to one of our final stories of the day. So Trump meme coins are set to see its first stage of unlocks. Why is this important to note? Well, I figured I just saw something over the last 24 hours which may have is suspicious rather than anything, because there
Well,
wasn't
go on.
anything to do with it. So we'll go with it and run through it you just entertain me for a moment. So this unlock represents around 20% of circulating supply. Ahead of this, however, the Trump dev pulled around 4.6 million USDC from the liquidity pool. So they removed liquidity from that pool. Then they bridged that $4.6 million to Ethereum and deposited into Coinbase Prime. So this comes ahead, like we've just spoken about, ahead of the unlock tomorrow evening, I think it is in the United States. So that 20% releasing 20% of the circulating supply. However, by pulling from the liquidity pool, liquidity then becomes thin, and it doesn't have the greatest volume on a lot of exchanges.
Right.
So thin liquidity obviously in turn introduces a lot of volatility. And especially with OM that we've just seen, if that's any warning as to what could happen to a top 20 project with thin liquidity, then I think we could potentially be bracing for a bumpy ride for that Trump meme coin.
Right.
My only
Yeah.
thought here, yeah, so my only thought here is that the dev has tried to artificially inflate the price by taking
Oof.
from the liquidity pool to generate a spike in prices
Surely
as buy
not.
orders come in.
Surely not.
I know. Who would have
How
thought?
dare you assume such things?
Exactly. Assume is actually good. We're going to add that as a caveat that these are
Yeah,
just
yeah.
my
Good. Thank God for
opinions.
that.
Yeah, these are just my opinions. There's been no official statement regarding it. And if anybody's got any other insights that would be helpful, please do tag
Answers
me,
on a
send me a direct
postcard.
message. Exactly. Outside of my original thoughts. But that brings us to a close for today. Actually, looking at time, sharp 15 minutes as always. It's quite a nice
Perfect.
point to end on.
Awesome. Well, Cam, thank you as always, guys. If you're not already following Cam and specifically Institutional Fi, crypto with a tie on, please do so. Puts out great content and much more to come, especially with the continued tie-ups with Cam and myself via Institutional Fi and PIQ. Plenty of, hopefully, very soon, some interviews and stuff like that he's going to be putting out with some big names in crypto. But Cam, thank you so much, listeners, especially with the guys. We know lots of, well, the vast, huge majority of you listen to this on the playback. So if you are listening to this in a couple of hours, hello from the past. Guys, take care. We'll see you tomorrow.